Why pay regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBucks at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of bettor, from as low as $90 gets $100, all the way up to $3,500 gets you $5,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks.
Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today, September 2nd. It's a Thursday, a beautiful day for golf. I'm Lawrence Presman, that man Teddy covers. He's thinking, what? It's a beautiful day for college sports. That's in the nighttime. We're golfing today. Rob Veno on right off the bat. And are you kidding me? I mean, what a show, dude. Him and then Ralph. Oh, this is gonna be a monster. Veno, San Jose State, USC, Oregon State, Purdue, and the East Carolina App State game. And Ralph, the Ohio State Minnesota game going tonight. Duke, Charlotte, and Baylor versus Texas. Teddy, I lost yesterday. I had the Padres -1.5. I could have had the Padres +1.5. It still didn't go well. I am going to lose plays, but it bums me out. How did you do, bro?
Yeah, I mean, and then that's the funny thing is, it doesn't matter what kind of a winning streak you're on. You've been running good for what, the last 6 months, and one loss, you still walk around pissed off. That's the nature of what we do. I had a wrong side winner last night. I'll take it. I had the Red Sox at the plus price. I've been backing Boston every time Chris.
Well, that was fun. What did we had to go? We had to go work out or something in the middle of that. Sorry, everybody. We had some technical difficulties. We're back now. Teddy, what were you talking about?
I was talking about a lucky winner that I had with the Red Sox last night. There was a wrong side. They escaped. It felt like 100 jams and then stole it in the 9th inning. But I've been riding the Red Sox with Sale on the hill. Now it's my 4th straight winner for backing Sale since he came off the injured list, thinking that Boston's coming to play for their ace, and it's paying off. And they weren't the right side last night, but it got there. And frankly, when it comes to September baseball, I don't care about right sides. All I want is cashing some tickets. And this is the time of year, Prez, where I'm looking at underdogs in MLB a whole lot more than I look at dogs perhaps in the regular season. Just about every game I'm thinking dog first in September. What about you?
Well, I'm going to ask you why. I mean, that's really interesting, Teddy. Are there particular teams you're looking at, or just dogs in general? Is it, because they're playing more younger guys, they're hungry? Well, give us some goods here.
Sure. So September baseball for me, when you look at a team's full season record, it's essentially meaningless. All right. There are teams that are playing out the string and not bringing a whole lot on the day in, day out basis. There are favorites who are collapsing down the stretch every year. We'll find a team or two that absolutely goes ice cold as $2 favorites day after day in September. You see teams that have played terrible baseball all year that are suddenly showing signs of life. So the betting markets are going to focus on the season-long numbers. For me, September MLB is all about current form, and it's often about plus prices.
That makes sense to me, Teddy. Let's ask everybody kindly and sweetly for a thumbs up. 104 you guys watching, 11 thumbs up. That's like 10%. It's 9.8, but let's not split hairs. Teddy, quite the cryptocurrency ride. Do you know anybody who suggested to anybody to buy Ethereum or Bitcoin or Cardano on any show at any time?
Somebody might have said something once. Why?
Yeah, guy was a genius. Rob Veno joining us. Robert, how are you, man? What's going on in the wonderful world of Rob Veno?
I am good, guys. We survived the tornadoes that hit in the area. Didn't necessarily get me. We had a lot of rain, a lot of flooding here. The kids in the band are driving their 18-wheeler home and just got detoured coming from Cleveland, where they played last night. I'm on today because I'm going to go see them in Asbury Park, New Jersey, play tomorrow at this outdoor festival. So we escaped the damage. Some people weren't as lucky, guys. I got to tell you, and Teddy, when we were off air, you talked about how the Temple-Rutgers game has already been postponed. There's a lot of severe flooding, and there were some pretty serious tornadoes in the New Jersey area last night. So thoughts and prayers out to all those who really did, get stuck in the middle of that. Well, like I say, we had a lot of rain, but you can survive rain. The internet connections here, the cable TV stayed on, so I'm all good.
Rob, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that old joke from the 1920s. If a tornado hits Rob Veno, does his hair move?
Was this hair around in the 1920s? I guess people had this hair in the 1920s.
I made the 1920s part up, dude.
It probably would, Prez. It would move in a tornado. I think everything moves in a tornado. So it's not that good.
Guys, if you've never watched The Food That Made America, that show is unbelievable. Last night I watched The Craft Story. Dude was like completely flat broke in his house with a piece of cheese. Spent 3 years and every cent on trying to figure out the formula. These stories are unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm not even going to ask Teddy, but Rob, do you ever watch that stuff?
I haven't, Prez, but a guy in a piece of cheese that becomes a billionaire, that's pretty good.
Dude, the popsicle was a 6-year-old kid left his orange juice out on the porch in San Francisco when his parents called him in for bed. Came out the next morning, it had frozen. He had left a fork or a straw in it, pulled it over, and that was the popsicle. I mean, oh my God. And
need to be on the right end of one of these.
Yeah, what? Yeah, that's what I said to Vivian. Why couldn't I think of one of these damn things? But I'm telling you guys, if you haven't watched The Food That Made America Great, that is just incredible. Rob, let's get to it, man. San Jose State versus USC. You're looking at a bet for the first half. Tell us what we should do.
Yeah, we're going to open this show, Prez, with a couple of first half plays. Here we're going to look first half over. The total, I believe, was 33 in this game. But let's just go through some of the stuff here. San Jose State, it's a major step up in class, much like, it'll be for UCLA this week. Both of those teams played inferior opponents last week. In San Jose State's case, it was Southern Utah. But they did what a good team has to do against an overmatched opponent, and they crushed them. 53 total plays in that game. They gained 543 yards on those plays, converted 69% of their third downs. It was a demolition from start to finish. The one thing that was unimpressive about San Jose State last week was their pass rush, which I expected a lot more of. It was really good last year. Southern Utah attempted 31 passes, and San Jose State only got 1 sack. That could be problematic if that's the case this week against USC in this air raid with Keaton Slovis and the slew of wide receivers. Familiar names come back: Drake London, Brew McCoy, and the running back room is loaded for USC. It took a while to get this air raid established under Graham Harrell, but right now it looks like all cylinders are go here with this team. I'd expect them to come out of the chute pretty effective against the San Jose pass defense overall that I'm not so sure of when it's faced with an opponent like this, and especially after I saw the lack of pass rush last week. We will see. That being said, I think that San Jose State with Nick Starkel will be able to find their way into the end zone as well. With that passing game generated 410 yards last week, and again, it's an opponent that they should manhandle. But they can find holes in USC as well. This is an experienced group of wide receivers. It's an offense under Brian Brennan that's been successful now for 3 years running. The running game left a little bit to be desired last week. San Jose State hasn't necessarily found that yet. So it's going to have to be the pass game that gets them there. But I do think they're that effective. Could have looked, and I wouldn't blame anybody for looking full game as well. If in your mind, your belief is it's USC's first game, they may come out slow. They may sputter their first couple of drives, and that would wreck a first half under. I don't share that opinion, but I can certainly understand guys who do and would rather look the full game. I wouldn't talk you off over 59.5 or over 60. But for me, it's going to be a first half play over 33. I like having the 34 in my favor. We can cash tickets with a 34 here. So I'll play it that way, over 33 first half.
So I want to ask you about the statistical profile for San Jose after playing one game against an FCS foe. I found, at least for my handicapping, I like to throw those games out completely, Rob. I don't look at the stats. I don't worry about the stats. I don't worry about what a team shows or doesn't show. Do you find that you make more money long-term looking at these openers against FCS competition and throwing them out, or when you or you actually get takeaways from these that you can find that will give you something moving forward as opposed to just looking back at what just happened?
I think the takeaways are very slim, Teddy, in my case, in my handicap, if in fact the game plays out the way it's supposed to on paper. San Jose, Southern Utah played out the way it should have. So the takeaways from that are, other than what I saw with pass pressure, to me, they're meaningless, right? I expected San Jose State to do what they did. They did it. I have them graded power rating wise the same today as I did before that game started because the game, as I said, was played out as expected. I think when I match up the fundamentals, I match up San Jose State in a major step up in class here, but what they're capable of against USC and vice versa, what USC is capable of against them. So long answer to your question. No, I don't take an awful lot out of that particular game, San Jose State, Southern Utah, other than the pass rush. And we'll see if there was something hidden there. Maybe they didn't exotic blitz the way they might against USC. We'll see.
Rob Veno, awesome handicap. Guys, yesterday I did tell you if you're going to sit in the chat room with capital lock on and continue to talk for an hour, I will ban you. I know you have the freedom. I know you have the freedom to have your caps on, and we have the freedom to kick you out. So Zachary Tyler Holloman, I got no problem with you. You're welcome back. We love you. Thank you for always joining. But yesterday at the end of the show, you mocked me. You said, well, I'm still in the chat room, even though he told me to get rid of the caps. Well, guess what? You're not in the chat room anymore. Rob Veno, baby. Oregon State, Purdue. Another first half bet coming our way. Regale us.
That rant, Prez, just reminded me my mom is 80 and she texts in all capital letters. So it reminded me of my mom there for a minute. Let's go here. Another first half play, another overplay in a game that figures to be a shootout. Purdue is a team I have asterisk since, early spring as a team that I think will perform better here under Jeff Brom this year, but the offense is the real reason why they're good. I have to start, though, on the defensive side of the football with Purdue, guys, where they have a unique situation. They changed coordinators. Not only did they bring in Brad Lambert, the DC from Marshall. So if you want to think what Purdue's trying to do defensively, just think of Marshall's defense the last couple of years. But they brought in two other guys as well. They have three defensive coordinators, one who's going to call the plays and two that are co-DCs. Ron English, we remember him. He was a head coach at Eastern Michigan. He'll coach the DBs and be a co-DC. Mark Hagan from Texas, he'll also be a co-DC. Interesting situation, to say the least. It's a good move to me down the line. But I have to tell you, I really wonder if they can get that defensive playbook learned and executed in the season opener against a team like Oregon State, who is offensively explosive on both ends. Balanced team with all 5 offensive linemen returning. They can throw the ball. They can run the ball. Jonathan Smith has done wonders with that offense. They gained 409 yards per game last year, and it was split 198 on the ground, 211 through the air. So this team's a handful for your defense when you have 9 returning starters who are all inside a brand new system. The communication between these guys, I'm not so sure of against a team like this. However, the Purdue offense is going to be dynamite, to say the least. You've got 2 real good quarterbacks here. If they choose one over the other, I think they've chosen Aiden O'Connell. Jack Plummer could certainly see playing time. We saw him a lot last year. They've got arguably, I would say it's the second best, but you could say it's top 3 wide receiving core in the Big Ten. I know Ohio State's wide receiving core, just with the 2 guys on the perimeter, is the best. But when you have David Bell and Milton Wright, these 2, David Bell's been a star. This will be his 3rd year now. This is a loaded wide receiver room, which is going to cause trouble for Oregon State. I think the biggest matchup on the field that leads me towards over in the first half here has got to be lack of pass rush on both sides. How about Purdue finish last in their conference last year in sacks? They only had 5. And Oregon State finished second to last in their conference. They only had 7, or vice versa, maybe it was. But it's 5 and 7, those 2 numbers. Neither team can rush the passer. Neither team is all that talented in the secondary, and you're facing teams that can light up the scoreboard. To me, and in fact, I misspoke on the USC game, guys, that total is over 30 for the half. So 31 is in our favor. This is the total first half, that's 33. We have 34 on our side. You can't convince me that this won't be 17-17 at minimum at halftime. So I'm going to play this one over, predicated on both offenses being extremely strong, and the other side of the coin, the defense is being weak pass rush and being weak pass secondary. I think these 2 have a field day against each other.
So I want to ask you this, Rob. Again, you're talking first half instead of full game. What's the thought process here is to go in the shorty as opposed to the 60-minute contest?
I think the adjustment period, Teddy, I mean, and I may be different in my thinking than other people, but I feel like right out of the chute, Purdue defensively might have more trouble with their assignments, back 7, in the first half than they would after playing a half of football. You go in at halftime, correct a few things, come out, maybe you're a little more solid in the second half. I think Oregon State has a better chance of taking advantage. They could take full advantage, full game, that's for sure. But I think coming out and playing a team that really, in my estimation, is not going to know exactly what they're doing for the first 30 minutes. I'd like to have that side. And other side of the coin is I just think Purdue, in fact, a lot of the stuff I read, I'll go back because you're a big guy on quotes and we read a lot. We do a lot of local beat writer reading. Everything I read about Purdue heading into this game is wanting to get on the board immediately. Remember Jeff Brom at Western Kentucky? It was kind of that way when he had those offenses, and he feels like this is the best one he's had. Side note here, guys, of all the coaches in America, when I listen to him talk, I think Jeff Brom is number 1 on my list of honesty. I've found that ever since he took over at Purdue, he tells you exactly what is on his mind. There's no coach speak there to sift through. So give me the first half. And again, I'm not going to talk anybody off full game over because this lines up as a shootout.
Rob, I mean, Teddy asked you about the first half bet, and let's just talk about it in general because this really, I mean, we've all been in this industry for 30 years each, give or take. This is becoming a thing. First 5 inning bets in baseball, first half bets. Why, Teddy, Rob, why do you think in the last little while has half game, quarter game, whatever bets become so big? Either of you.
If I'm going to go first here, I would just say availability, Prez. It lines up with, I mean, you look at the board tonight, FCS versus FBS teams, they weren't readily available half a dozen years ago, really, universally for everybody to bet on. FCS versus FCS, the plain FCS board certainly wasn't readily available 5 years ago. I think the availability of all these lines for the past few years and odds makers giving us the ability to not only that, but in-game obviously has become a huge, you see a lot of people, well, I'll put a certain percentage down pre-flop and then I'm going to watch the game and I'll in-game bet from there. All these things have become a thing because of the availability of all of them, at least in my estimation, the universal ability to bet any of these different options.
Teddy,
True. And it also, I mean, it allows recreational bettors to get down at more than one, instead of putting everything on the full game, you're putting some on the first half and some on the full game. So it allows recreational bettors to hedge in a way they didn't, and allows you to cash tickets earlier, which gives you more betting action later in the day. That's a key component when you're talking about folks with limited bankrolls. You're out of this game at halftime. There's the money in your account. Now you can bet the next game without any issue. So it's certainly a part of the equation where we're seeing more action in general. That's a piece of the puzzle, but there are a lot of pieces to this puzzle. President, the reason we're seeing it in baseball is very different than the reason we're seeing it in basketball or football.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
In MLB, it's about the starting pitch. You can take the bullpens out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about week one in college football, the concept of taking some of these fourth quarters out of the equation, where there's a lot of uncertainty and how tired a team's going to be, what's their conditioning like for the first week, it makes sense from a more predictability standpoint to make some of these plays first half plays.
There you go, Rob. Last game, East Carolina versus Appalachian State. All over the map. I mean, there's 10s, 9. There's a 9 on the board now. What are you doing in this game?
Yeah, this game goes tonight. And, I had my fingers crossed earlier this summer, guys, when college football openers came out, that perhaps East Carolina would slide under the radar of the immediate sharp money that was going to bet these openers back in July. It didn't. They, identified East Carolina. They bet them pretty hard. I know it doesn't take a lot of money to move a line in the summer. Odds makers are looking for the sharps to help them put the correct line up so they adjust on less money. But still, East Carolina's been the money taker in this spot. I like them with the 10 here. I'm going to buy into the head coach here, third year, Mike Houston, formerly of James Madison. I'm going to buy into his assessment of his personnel, which, by the way, forget about starters, 63 Letterman back for East Carolina. A whole slew of those third year in these systems, offensive and defensive, second year in the defensive system, third offensive. But he calls them the deepest, the strongest, the fastest, the smartest. A lot of coaches say that. I'm just going to buy into it here because he seems to be building the program up, and up. This week in practice, he said it was a great energy, great focus-filled week. The team's really excited about the matchup. But I'm going to lean more on numbers here, guys, where this play is concerned, why I'm taking 10 points. Last season, East Carolina, in their games, they played 5 teams that went to bowl games. They played UCF, Cincinnati, Tulsa, Tulane, and SMU. 5 games against bowl teams. They went 2-3 against the spread. Outright win to end the season against SMU. Pretty much destroyed by Cincinnati and UCF, as to be expected. Appalachian State, they also played 5 games against bowl teams last year in the regular season, and they went 0-5 against the spread. They got beat by double digits by Marshall when they were favored. They lost outright. They got beat by double digits by Coastal Carolina. They laid 18 to Georgia State and only won by 4. Outright loss to ULL towards the end of the season, and a non-cover against Georgia Southern. Laid 9.5, only won by 8. I think it speaks to the overvalued and the perception that Appalachian State is this not that they're not. They're an FBS team on the rise. And that East Carolina is a team that just stinks. That perception, I think, is off base. I don't know that the talent on paper is that much better on one side of the field here. I think they're both very, very similar. This game's played in a neutral site. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is officially an App State home game. 31,000 tickets sold so far. Appalachian State set a record by putting 19,000 of their people in this stadium a couple years back. But East Carolina has a monster following as well. This crowd at best might be 60-40, so not really an App State home game. plus 10 just seems like way too much to me, guys. So I'm going to take it here with East Carolina, a team that I feel like will be a little bit undervalued this year. But apparently from sharp bettors, it wasn't undervalued because they pounced on it right away.
Yeah, and the plus 10s are now gone. The plus 9s are disappearing. I'm seeing 8.5 starting to pop up on the Wager Talk live odds screen right now. So certainly East Carolina is a team that is getting a fair bit of wise guy support in early betting action today. Rob, I probably can't count how much money I've lost in week 1 of college football betting on third-year head coaches who told me that this is going to be this is their best team yet. Right? It's one of those deals where the third-year coaches are coming out and saying, this is our team, we've been building for this.
Right.
And then they come out and they face a superior opponent and get clocked. This is an East Carolina program that, let's see, 3-9, 3-9, 3-9, 4-8, 3-6 the last 5 years. There's nothing going on there in terms of, oh, we're sure this is going to turn around. And App State's no joke, even though they didn't cover point spreads against the bowl teams last year. We know they are an elite non-Power 5 school. Does any of that concern you, or is this just the East Carolina's coming? East Carolina's coming, and App State is overvalued. What's your take on my concerns about the Pirates in this one?
It's always a concern, Teddy. It's why you heard me say I'm buying into. We treat them all individually, right? I just happen to be buying into this head coach from what I see, from what I read. He's got a fourth-year quarterback here, right? And they made a lot of changes. When he came from James Madison, it wasn't the style that he likes to run. They've changed to a more run-oriented team, even though they can still throw the football. They're explosive offensively. And defensively, they made some changes as well. So, the evolving of the program towards the one he foresaw when he got there, I think is on its way. But again, your concerns are absolutely well taken, and you have to apply them all individually. Like I said earlier, I just happen to be buying into this one. I may be buying into a dud, but I don't think so in this case. I thought that the points were worth taking here.
Robert, we got to call this a segment. What do you got to promote?
Well, let's promote college football, Prez, up and available right now for this evening at WagerTalk.com. Go ahead and find stuff there. I'll get the baseball up a little later this afternoon. And then, of course, weekend football will be up as well. So all the plays, all the selections up at WagerTalk.com.
Awesome stuff, guys. Stay with us. Teddy's Big Game Breakdown. Are you kidding? Someone's got to talk Clemson, Georgia, and Teddy stepped up. Ralph Michaels coming as well, and the daily presidential address will be back in literally 20 seconds.
We've rolled back our football prices. WagerTalk's first full year was 2015, and we've lowered our football season packages to match what we charged that football season. Why? It's simple. We want to make our season-long packages an extraordinary value. You can buy a full college football season or full NFL season for only $5.99 each. But if you buy a college football NFL combo from the same handicapper, you pay only $8.99. Looking to mix and match handicappers? We have you covered. Just email support at WagerTalk.com for a bundle discount and to create any handicapper combo you can dream of.
It is time for today's big game breakdown, and Prez has been bugging me all week. Somebody's got to talk Clemson versus Georgia. I'll do that right here, right now. Before I get into the analysis, I do want to let you know about what's going on right now over at Wager Talk and SportsMemo.com. For me, we won again last night. It's been a good run the last couple of weeks. No complaints at all so far about 2021 in general. And obviously, the football track record's real good. We're locked and loaded. I got a 5% big ticket play for the NFL in week 1. 3 plays already locked and loaded in college football for the weekend. We'll be adding more over the course of the next 24 hours. You can check all that out at Wager Talk and or SportsMemo.com. Let's talk Clemson versus Georgia right now. Look at the Wager Talk live odds screen. I'm seeing Clemson a 3-point favorite, total of 51. And I'm going to start this by talking about college football injury sites. When you look at the websites that list college football injuries, you're going to get burned flat out. Okay. I don't know one good one. I don't know one site that I can go to and it's going to give you a rundown of injuries that's updated, that's telling you who's banged up and who's really hurt and who's not. It's not out there. The only way you're going to get that info is by digging, and that comes from the beat writers. A lot of times it comes at the bottom of the article, so you got to scroll down and read the whole thing to find out who's banged up and who isn't. Georgia's banged up all over the place in camp, all over the place. Lots of key guys, both sides of the football, missing practice, missing extended practice time, and a lot of guys are going to play, but I'm not convinced that Georgia is going to be in mid-season rhythm coming out of the gate. Now, we saw, obviously, Trevor Lawrence go number 1 overall. And in general, when you lose a number 1 overall pick as your starting quarterback and a guy who was a can't-miss prospect and he was a freshman, team's going to take a step back. I'm not convinced that's going to be the case for Clemson this year. DJ Uiagalelei is a guy who got his feet wet last year, showed that he was capable. You remember what he did against Notre Dame in that ballgame. And when you grade out Clemson's personnel, this team is absolutely loaded once again. Who do we trust in big games? We trust Dabo in big games. We talk about playoff games, bowl games, ACC title games. 15-4 ATS since 2012. That's Dabo in the games that matter most. It's Clemson or pass for this bettors. I want no part of the underdog in this one. There's your big game breakdown, Prez. Back to you, my friend.
If he's playing, he's laying. Did I do that good?
Look, so there's some lines that you pick up over the years. The whole thing at the end of the show where I'm like, enjoy the games and good luck. I stole that. I flat out stole that.
Man, that, I'll tell you, whoever came up with enjoy the games and good luck, that's high level intellectual stuff. Shut up, Teddy.
That's the way to close out your show.
Ralph. Dude, honored to have you here. Teddy, this guy's so busy. Half the gold sheet is written by this guy. Maybe not half or written, but no. Help us out, Ralph. Tell us what you've been up to.
But I will say this, guys. WagerTalk acquired the gold sheet a couple years back now. And when you guys look at the new gold sheet, the statistical profile it has for each games, the matchups it has for past histories, the last 4 games, records and averages, the new gold sheet available at WagerTalk right now for just $2 this week. So if you've ever spent $2 on something that you're not sure what you want to see, check out the new gold sheet. You will be amazed, and I'm sure you will be a subscriber.
Yeah, well said, Ralph. Nicely done. Guys, Ralph, before we get into your games, I want to remind everybody of something. Once we get into football season, we always have football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday being the drivers of football. We have a package up on the website. If you go to anybody's handicapping page, down on the bottom right, you could get 3 days for $69. That is how you attack the college football NFL season with us. If you're not buying monthly, if you're not buying long-term, don't buy daily. Buy that 3-day package. It's up now. I got to play tonight. I got to play tomorrow. I got 2 plays Saturday. Teddy is the same. Ralph is the same. Take advantage of that offer. $69, 3 days. You can find it on anybody's page. Ralph, anything to add to that? And then we'll get into your games.
Yeah, a little hint for our viewers. Make sure you're buying Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because Monday is $9 at WagerTalk. So you're actually getting more value by adding the Friday to the package and not betting Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Still Saturday and Sunday, Monday is a deal, but get a better deal by taking advantage, buying it on Friday.
Although you can always go buy a 3-day package Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then get another one for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It'll get you all the NFL as well. So if you want to get involved.
Actually, you wouldn't, Teddy. If you're going to buy back-to-backs, you want to buy a 7-day for $109.
You're right. You do. Exactly. But after you've won all that money in the 3-day package, you can spend a little bit more.
Okay.
And Ralph, I want to ask Ralph real quick about Gold Sheet one time, because I know there are folks out there. For us in Vegas, Gold Sheet is one of these names that's been around. It was around when I got here. All right. It's legendary. But I know a lot of the young folks go, what is Gold Sheet? What's the Gold Sheet? And why are you editing it?
Well, it is the finest college football and NFL newsletter out there. For old timers, newsletters used to get written Saturday and Sunday. They would get FedExed out. We would go and pick them up Wednesday from the newsstands, and you'd get your printed Gold Sheet. Gold Sheet was a one-page yellow paper, which made it so unique, two-sided, and you had to unfold it like those crazy maps, if you remember the maps of the 1980s. But it is just a breakdown. Now, if you're a $1,000 bettor, are you going to take the Gold Sheet information and be betting thousands of dollars on it? No. Gold Sheet is an information packet that was written on Sunday a week in advance. It's a great tool to boost your handicapping, to make you very knowledgeable in college football and the NFL. And if you're a smaller bettor, yes, those are the games you want to play. So be it a small bettor, be it a big bettor, it's going to help you either way. Again, the entire subscription for the year is $189. It takes you through the Super Bowl. It comes out weekly. But when you see what's available each and every week, it'll be a football resource, football betting resource you will want every Monday night when it comes out.
Since 1954, if I'm correct. That's
And
none of us were alive.
A lot of the big names in the industry that were the big names when I first moved out to Vegas, all those guys started either writing for the Gold Sheet or working for the Gold Sheet back in the day. This was the periodical, the publication. And it is once again with Ralph Michaels every week putting out quality content. Ralph, let's break down some games.
Yeah, baby. Ohio State, Minnesota. A lot of people are talking about it. We had Koken discussed this game already this week. You've got a different take. 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll be watching. What do we do in this one?
Simple, guys. I'm on the under. You look at the Ohio State offense the last 4 years, 41.1 points, 42.4 points, 46.9 points, and 41 points per game. Well, look at this total. It seems cheap relative to that offense. But in those offenses, they all had experienced quarterbacks. Ryan Day starting fresh now, going with C.J. Stroud, the freshman. And, there may be a little bit of controversy now with the number one draft pick coming in, the number one rated all-time quarterback in Ewers also in camp. So Ohio State is going to run the ball. They have one of the best offensive lines in football. They bring in the number one running back. They add in Master Teague from last year. Ohio State's defense, it's better than some of the past years. It has a top 2 or 3 defensive line. They will get pressure. While the secondaries worked out some issues in the spring camp, I think they have it set with who they're playing on cornerbacks. The cornerbacks are good enough to play man-to-man. You look at Minnesota, they were a run-first team last year. There's no question. They almost had as many rush yards as they do pass yards. Big Ten running back in Ibrahim. They will run the ball. And then let's look at week 1 conference games. Going back 12 years, if you just bet the under in week 1 conference games, you have cashed 54% of the time. Now, that's not strong enough to make a bet, but that 54% does tell you this. People are looking at week 1. They often look at season-to-date stats. When you're playing a conference opponent, it basically counts as almost 2 games. You're much more conservative. You need to win that conference game. You're unlikely to try those big fancy trick plays that you want to put on tape for the rest of the year. And to me, when you have that conservative approach against these 2 teams, I'm going under the total. And this is an actual WagerTalk All Access play that I gave out to my customers. So I got to the window as well with it. And again, it is one of my plays for tonight.
So all 4 games last Saturday stayed under the total, although actually the San Jose Southern Utah game, which was a game against an FCS foe, went over by, I think, a point or 2. But again, last night's game with UAB stayed under. It's not like we've seen anything but unders so far in college football. Is there anything to that, Ralph, or is that just random static as opposed to something meaningful with week 0 trending heavily under, and obviously the only week 1 game played so far.
Yeah, I mean,
also
with
an under.
with four games, Teddy, I am not going to say that there's going to be a trend that the defenses are ahead of the offenses because, normally you would think last season with fewer practices, the defense would be ahead of the offenses, and this year now with the spring practices and fall practices, that the offenses would have caught up. But breaking down those games one by one, that Fresno game, it would have easily gone over if it wasn't 120 degrees and people weren't cramping. Every second play, someone from Fresno or UConn had to come out because of cramping, including Jake Hayner. So, that was a game that would have gone over in normal conditions. And looking at the thing as a whole, the season as a whole, Hawaii just wasn't able to move the ball against UCLA's. We'll see if it's an improved defense. So I'll take that as an anomaly. Nothing on this play is based on week 0 performances.
Yeah, and Teddy, don't forget, right? Nebraska and Illinois, stone cold over. Anyone on the under just was completely lucky. Go back to Monday's show if you people want to know what the hell we're talking about. Ralph, let's talk Duke Charlotte Friday night game, -6, a 60.5, I think, on tap as 60.5 as the total. How do we bet this one?
Well, Duke sucks. Duke's 2-9. Duke only has 12 returning starters. Charlotte has 17 returning starters. How Duke's horrible. Well, part of the reason Duke only has 12 returning starters, I've mentioned this a few times, because kids go to Duke to study, not to play football. You look at Northwestern, you look at Stanford, you look at Duke. Why are they the fewest returning starters in college football? Because they're smart kids and they graduated and they weren't going to stick around for another year. But with that said, this is still Duke. This is still a team that had 12 returning starters. And if you say, well, 12's not a big number, guess what? Last year they only had 12. So it's important to look from one season to the next. Last season they had 12 and they were inexperienced. Yes, they have 12 this year, but their depth is much stronger than it was with those 12 returning starters. Charlotte is a team to me that had a bad season last year and a 2-4 season, outgained by 80 yards per game. But the thing that sticks out to me is this. David Cutcliffe brought in a pair of new OCs, and they really think they can run the ball with Durant and Jackson, and I believe them. I've watched some of their spring stuff, read all what they can read. Charlotte's D-line is very small. You have guys on the ends for Charlotte, 285, 275, a 290 DT, and then a 320-pound DT. This Duke line is very big. This Duke line is experienced. Duke will be able to run the ball. Oh, yeah, by the way, last year when that crappy Duke team that only went 2-9, they beat the Charlotte team 53-19, and now I'm laying under a touchdown. Blue Devils get the cover.
So last year, 53-19, Duke beat Charlotte. They were -10 in that ball game. Why is this number shorter? Charlotte's not any better, and it was a complete mismatch a year ago. Explain this point spread to me, because it's a little bit of a head scratcher.
That's why I'm betting it, Teddy. It's
Teddy.
Duke has just fallen off the radar. People are talking that this is David Cutcliffe's, farewell, and it's going to be sad to see him go out this way. And the 2-9 season. Well, again, it's one of those anomalies that we're going to hopefully take advantage of, a Duke team that so many people have down. Now, I don't have them much higher. I still have them finishing where I do in the ACC at the bottom. But Charlotte's getting too much love, or Duke not getting a love. I don't know the answer. We won't know till next week, Teddy, with the power ratings, how much they get adjusted for Duke against North Carolina AT&T or Charlotte's next game. So I don't have an answer on why this line is so low, but I will bet that it's the wrong number.
So we've seen the money come in on Baylor against
double
Texas State.
Follow-up, huh?
What? You told me to ask the next game.
No, that was before you asked your "why are you betting Duke" question. Go. You know what, Teddy? Be quiet for a sec with love. Ralph, let's talk about your 5% play. You got one up for tonight. You are dominating in these plays. Fill us in.
I don't have one for tonight.
It's for Saturday. It's up.
It got moved to Saturday because of the storm.
Oh.
So let's see. I wonder what game I'm on. Thanks for bringing it up, Prez. Appreciate that.
Hey, dude, come on. You come on the show, man. We got to promote you. I didn't look at what play you're having. There's like 30 freaking handicappers on WagerTalk. I go down and study all the plays. I don't know what Teddy's betting tonight. Plus, that shit just clogs my brain.
For all my customers, it's a unique situation, and we'll talk about it because the Rutgers game, Temple game, got moved from tonight to Saturday. Now, there's some books that if it's the same venue within 48 hours, they keep the same numbers. There's other books that change the rotation number. So you need to be careful if you played that game to find out if your action is still available in the Temple Rutgers game, or it got canceled and you got to replace the bet. So it's a gray area. There's so many more sports books. They're all making their own rules. Yeah. There's no set rules on these cancellations or 36-hour postponements like this game is.
Though the industry standard, Ralph, is that when the rotation number gets changed, like this one, it's a new rotation number. The old wagers are canceled, and you'll have to make a new bet on whichever side that you like. So I would assume the vast majority of people who bet Temple Rutgers, that bet has been canceled, and you'll have to rebet it at the current number. I'm seeing right now Rutgers reopening as 14.5-point favorites total, sitting at 52. That has been scheduled. We don't know what time it's going to be yet on Saturday.
It's noon Eastern, Teddy.
Is that confirmed? Because I thought they were going back and forth.
I saw it on the line report, but I did not go to the school site to confirm.
Yeah, worth confirming.
Ralph, we are way up against the clock. Baylor, Texas State, Baylor minus 14, 53.5 on tap. I mean, my initial take is how many points is Texas State actually going to put up here? What do you like in this game?
Simple, guys, since we're short on time, this is simply a power ratings play for me. We spend all summer making our numbers. We do reading. We see who we think is going to be improved. We see reading who we think is going to be the same and who we think is going to drop down. I have Baylor as one of my most improved teams off a 2-7 season with their 17 returning starters. Yes, it's all going to matter if Bohannon can be the right quarterback and Dave Arnatta's second season. And, if you like a head coach, Teddy, you and Rob talked before about having improvement in the third season. I think this is the year that quality head coaches were going to see the most improvement. Because remember, all the first-year head coaches last year had no spring practice, very few had spring practices, and had very few limited summer practices. So now these systems are really implemented. Arnetta is a coach I like. I think he crosses his T's and dots his I's. I have Baylor higher than most, and I'm going to lay it with Baylor against Texas State.
Great stuff, Ralph. I can't thank you enough for joining us. We're going to see you at least once a week, Wednesday, Thursday, throughout the season. Super exciting. You are absolutely incredible on the show. And guys, check out the gold sheet. It is literally $2. I don't know how much coffee is at Dunkin' Donuts in America, but I'm guessing it's somewhere around $2. Is that right?
Could be.
Probably.
And don't forget, guys, College Football Daily, Tuesday through Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern. Joe Ranieri hosts 3 days. Drew Martin hosts 1. I'm on a couple days. Koken's on 3 days. Great show, WagerTalk TV, 1 o'clock Pacific, Tuesday through Friday.
Excellent stuff. Let's go. Time for the daily presidential address. I'm still doing it. The song is still in my head. Come on, how impressive is that, huh? Anyway, the narcissist impressed himself by moving his hands in front of his face. I'm Lawrence Pressman. This is the Daily Presidential Address, and If you guys missed Wager Talk today, you missed a hell of a show. Thursday, September 2nd, we had Rob Veno and Ralph Michaels. We talked college football from start to finish. Teddy gave out his thoughts on the Clemson-Georgia game. I'm not going to tell you it, but if you're playing, you're laying. I just wanted to throw rhymes out. 2-1 yesterday in my daily free picks. Jays couldn't get us a perfect night. They did win, but not by 2. I got 3 picks for you guys tonight. I do want to mention that I'm in play in college football tonight. It's over at WagerTalk.com. I'm absolutely freaking rolling. I cannot tell you how hot I am without sounding like a totally arrogant narcissist. But I am, so I'm damn hot. Anyway, let's go. 3 plays for tonight, and I'll make them simple. We're taking the Tampa Bay Rays. I know it's a lot of juice, minus 160. I'm fine with that. I think there's value in that bet. I also like Tennessee, the Vols. Keeps going higher and higher, but I think this game has, 50-3 written all over it, give or take. I like the under in that game too, but I am putting a small wager on Tennessee. And I am putting a small bet on NC State, both first half and for the entire game. Those are my free picks for tonight. Guys, I cannot stress enough. Buy the 3-day $69 package from any handicapper you want to play. If it's Teddy, me, Ralph, Koken, that's the package to buy. Teddy, I've got a chicken parm sandwich waiting for me, baby, and I'm going golfing. Take us home.
Sure, we'll do it again tomorrow, right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, for Lawrence Presman, enjoy the games and good luck.
Since March of this year, the Prez has produced 71% in profit for his clients. And with NFL Week 1 upon us, he's ready to hit the gridiron in a big way with an opening week 5% best bet. As a way to say thanks to all of his customers and everyone who tunes in to Wager Talk today, you can take 50% off this big play using coupon code PREZ50 when checking out.